just little. Hello, once again. This is your host, Deborah Stanley, and once again, it is truth-telling time. Time for us to tell our truths according to us. Today, our truth is all about one of my most favoriteest topics, my personal bandwagon, HIV. And so, we will be bringing you some up-to-date current information. Today, HIV is all about life and living. And so that will be the focus of our conversation, but I would just like to start off with a little statistics about our community right here. I'll need my extra eyes. So St. Joseph County ranks third in the state of Indiana for HIV infection. There are 628 individuals reported living with HIV infection, with 35 new individuals diagnosed in 2016. As of April of this year, there had been 8 new cases diagnosed. So, in addition to our HIV rates, we also have other STD rates. St. Joseph County has 1,412 cases of chlamydia, 565 cases of gonorrhea, and 7 cases of syphilis. Now, Elkhart County, where we also hang out a while, reports 870 cases of chlamydia, 200 cases of gonorrhea, and 10 cases of syphilis. Hepatitis C. We have in St. Joseph County 122 new cases, and in Elkhart County 84 cases. So 30 years into this epidemic, with all that we know, all that is available to us, people continue to be infected. That's why this year our 2017 Women in AIDS Conference is entitled HIV Prevention. Where do we go from here? And so I have with me today 2 other leading advocates in the realm of HIV and AIDS. And I will just pause for a moment and allow them to introduce themselves.
I'm Betty Tacey.
Hi, Miss Betty.
Hi, Deborah.
And how long have you been an advocate for the cause?
This is my 26 years since I've been diagnosed, so 26 years.
26 years. Yeah. All right. See, you would have beat me out at the conference. It was kind of neat because we just came back from the Unity Conference, which had the State Department of Health puts on, and it brings together HIV providers and advocates from all over the state. And on the back of all of our name badges, they had how many years we've been there.
Okay.
John Freiburg beat me.
He did, yeah.
All right.
Well, I'm Latoria Green. I was formerly in the field of HIV, but I've always had a passion in regards to prevention. So on the back of my name card at the conference, it had 15 years, so 15 years of being an advocate, but actually add 2 additional years to that, so 17, because it actually started when I was I want to say a junior when I was in college, and so I had started becoming an HIV instructor and doing presentations. I was kind of like a volunteer for Planned Parenthood at that time, and so went around to a couple of places and a couple of health fairs and provided some education. So 17 years of being actually in the field, being that advocate for HIV prevention.
And do not say you are no longer in the field,
Well,
because as long as you are
yes,
board
that's
president for Imani Unidad,
That
you
is
are
true.
still in the field.
Yes, and I'm very fortunate to be able to say that, yes, I'm not, it's like I almost feel like that I'm not deeply in the trenches anymore, like I really would love to be, but I am truly thankful and blessed to be able to still have a hand, if you will.
Yes.
So like being a part of the Women in AIDS Coalition, being board president for Imani Unidad, and just even for my own understanding and trying to keep myself aware of what's going on. So I've definitely been thankful to be able to keep it going.
Absolutely. So where do we go from here? That's an interesting conversation, because when we think about these social health issues, they are preventable. They are preventable. So the overall numbers are actually going down, and that's due to several things. The fact that we are now talking about it is happening to more and more people. The education is getting to impacting more and more families. The treatments that are available today. What would you say, Latoya, is still the biggest barrier to individuals actually addressing this in their personal lives?
Well, I know, especially when we talk with the younger generation, it's more of a immediate gratification kind of mentality that they have, and so everything is immediately accessible. You can go on Google and Google anything, whether it's true or not. You now have these new methods for them to meet people. So, if they are engaged in unprotected sex, you have, these apps that are out here for them to be able to link up with people. And so it's kind of like this whole immediacy of what you see with this generation, and trying to break through that, I think, would be the one of the barriers that we're dealing with, because things are just so accessible right now. Like if I want to have a partner and to have sex, and more than likely it's going to be unprotected sex, I can easily do that. I don't have to, find a club to be able to go to and go down to the club and do this whole, hunt, if you will, or chase, if you will. So the accessibility is just there now. And so that's what we're having to deal with, like I said, especially with this younger generation. And definitely what we have to do as society is we have to get over our fear with talking with people about this, not thinking, because it's like we've gotten into so much into like a PC world where people like, okay, I don't want to offend anyone by asking these questions, when no, you need to be asking these questions. So it doesn't matter if you're younger, if you're older, that we need to be asking these questions about your sexual history. We need to be asking questions about your knowledge about HIV and STDs. And so I think that's really what we're dealing with now, is just people, feeling like they don't want to offend anyone, and so we're kind of skirting the details, or skirting the questions as well too.
I find that interesting when you say that people don't want to ask the questions because they don't want to offend anyone, and my question then is always, how would you feel about answering them? So is that the bigger issue? Because I find that stigma
Yeah, I was going to say that.
is still the biggest issue we have in regards to social health issues. This whole notion that it's bad, wrong, dirty, nasty, sinful, shameful people that get those things, you know, and even in the teachings, sending your son out the door and saying, don't let none of those nasty girls give you nothing, and then you go, and the one that takes 12 baths a day is the one that infects you, you know. So yeah, just the ability to kind of erase away and like you said, begin to become more comfortable talking about these topics. One of the things in one of the workshops that we were at the conference, one of the presenters asked the audience, how many of you are HIV positive? So some hands went up. How many of you have ever had an STD? So some hands went up. And it was kind of like, okay. and he was very surprised of the huge number of hands that went up of people admitting to ever having had an STD. And so these things are commonplace, and once you start talking about them, you will find, just like anything else, that more people than not have been disaffected.
Yeah. I was going to say stigma also is still a huge issue, and I work at a treatment center now. And even with drug addicts, it's still a big issue. Even though they share needles, although they say, no, I don't share needles. Yeah, you do. And even though, there's sex going on, everywhere. And at the treatment center, we've caught some people. And I mean, it's like, why don't you, insist that he cover that? You know what I mean? And so, I don't know. When I'm open with people about about me being positive, they're fine with it. So why aren't you fine in your own life?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, it seemed like in the beginning it was stigmatized. Then it kind of became more commonplace. Now it's going back to being stigmatized, and I don't understand that. When the medicines are where they are, a lot of people know about taking Truvada every day as a way to prevent getting infected.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people know if you've been undetectable.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if you've been undetectable for a while, you're not going to infect anybody. A lot of
Right.
people know that.
Right.
So why aren't you getting tested? I just talked, there's this one young kid that's in the treatment center, and he's gay, and I asked him if he'd ever been checked for HIV or hepatitis. He said no. I said, why not? He said, because, he said, I would just kill myself if that happened. I was like, why?
Mm-hmm.
I said, if you were diagnosed today, you would die of old age.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I said, so I don't understand. I just don't get it, with the medicines there are, the treatments there are, the accessibility that there is. Why aren't people getting tested?
Mm-hmm.
Why on some gay websites that still say DD free, I'm DD free, drug disease free,
Mm-hmm.
when people know, there's certain people that know and say, no, he's not.
Right.
He's not DD free. So I don't get it. There.
Well, again, that's the classic definition of stigma. I don't want to attach myself to anything negative.
Yeah.
I want to think of myself as a good person, and so that's the barrier that stigma creates. When this is merely a health issue. It is a health issue like many health issues. Fortunately, it is a preventable one. And as you said, one that today newly diagnosed people live. The life expectancy today for somebody who becomes HIV positive is 70. And I work with a lot of young people, the early 20s, who have been diagnosed. And again, one of the bigger things is self-blame. Like you said, most young people, HIV has been around their entire lives. And so there's a lot of self-blaming that goes on. And then here comes the shame. I knew it was out there. I knew I should have. I knew I should have, would have. So it's also considering, and we learned a long time ago, that knowledge alone is not enough. You have to have the skills to act on the information once you have it. The whole art of communication, being able to know who you are and then convey that to somebody else is something that is a place that we need to go, creating safe places for people to get to know themselves. But again, a lot of the world, the teachings is external, is about the external. So how have you seen beyond treatment things change from the time that you were diagnosed 26 years ago,
26 years ago, yeah.
to today?
You mean other than treatment?
Or is the biggest thing for you the medications?
The biggest thing for me is getting older with AIDS. Those of us that are over 50, are not expected to die from old age, that have been infected for a long time. And I know that just in the past 2 years,